Okay, this is the latest. Let me walk through this. I'll try to read it off my list here correctly. The Pac-12 and the Mountain West, the big question, is there a merger coming to save both leagues? Is there a buyout coming? Or are they going to sink and swim? The president of Washington State University, Kirk Schultz, on Wednesday night just went off on the leadership of the Pac-12 conference. Now, understand, Washington State, Oregon State, Stanford, Cal have been left out there on the street corner because everybody else defected. And those schools, notably Oregon State, Washington State, they're looking at a drop of 40% athletic department revenue because the TV contracts are going to evaporate. Mm-hmm. And where are they going to go? So Schultz went public, said what we have just seen is the worst ever situation in the history of college football. He attacked his fellow presidents on the council. These people lack honesty. All they care about now are themselves. He said the Pac-12 presidents caused the demise of the Pac-12 conference by the way they acted. He says these presidents meet only 3 times a year. It's not enough to exchange data about what's happening at each of our member institutions. He said, do you understand that some of these Pac-12 presidents have virtually no working relationship with their athletic director, who's the CEO of a big piece of real estate on that campus? Kirk Schultz said, I meet with my athletic director and my football and head basketball coach nonstop over a given calendar year. He said, my mandate is to protect this university and my student athletes. So is Oregon State's. We're going to stay in the Power 5 conference. Then today, Pat Chum, the athletic director at Washington State, he went off. He said, a century of Pac-8, 10, and 12 history is now gone because of those people. Those people, USC, UCLA, the presidents, the chancellors, etc. He says the demise of our conference is because of the conference mismanagement. And he said the poor leadership has now led us to this overall failure. Really nasty stuff at Washington State, and they're the only ones that have stood up and said, this is horrible. These guys need to be blamed. Chum also said there should be no conversation about a new commissioner till we have a new game plan. But he's of the opinion that George Kliavkoff has to be removed because he knew for a year what was going and he didn't get the deal done. Now, here's a lot of different ideas that are being kicked around. There's a conversation out there. The Pac-4 that are left are evaluating how much money they have in their bank account. And there's a thought. The Pac-4 pools some of those resources, goes to 4 of the Mountain West teams, Aztecs, Boise, Fresno, and Colorado State, and funds half their buyout to leave the Mountain West.
Wow.
They give each of those schools $17 million of the $34 million the Aztecs would have to pay. Get them out, take them to the Pac-4, which then becomes the Pac-8. Then they would go to the American Athletic Conference, AAC. They would go get SMU and they would go get Rice, which would put them in the Texas TV market. So you bring them in with the San Diego, Southern California TV market, and you operate as a 10-team conference. It's just in theory right now. But, you know, if you're going to give each of those 4 Mountain West teams $17 million as a help to buy out the conference, that's an awful lot of money. What does it do to your reserves? So that's one thing. There's another conversation. The Pac-4 just goes to Colorado Springs and meets with the Mountain West commissioner and proposes a merger. You bring your 12 teams from Wyoming and San Jose State all the way up to San Diego State and Boise. Bring them all. Here's the moving vans. Bring them to the Pac-4. Take those 12, add those 4, 16-team conference. Oh, by the way, make sure the extra baggage, John, bring your TV contract with Fox and CBS, because that would become part of the deal. We'd take that bag and we'll go back to those 2 networks and ask for an upgrade on the TV contract. And by the way, Apple is out there still on the horizon that if they could get this deal done where they expand the Pac-4 and make it Pac-4 with the Texas schools and the Mountain West schools, or just the Pac-4 merging with the Mountain West and run it, it would run under the Pac-4 banner. Colorado State office would close. Apple is out there. Fox and CBS might renegotiate, throw some more money in. Now, is it going to be 30 million, 40 million? No, not at all. But that's another thing that's out there. The Mountain West continues to say, well, once there is a decision what's going to happen with Stanford, we want to talk to Oregon State and Washington State about joining us. But I can't see the Beavers and Cougars stepping down to go from what was a Power Five to a Group of Five conference. So that is still out there. And on top of that, the Big Ten, because you brought this up about 10 days ago, the Big Ten says we are not going to go back and talk to Cal and Stanford. Evidently, when the Big Ten knew they had the chance to get Oregon and Washington to come, they went back to Fox. Fox kicked in another $150 million in the big TV deal. So it could be the Big Ten adding the Ducks and Huskies. And on top of all that, the anger. You can cut through the anger in the Pacific Northwest with a chainsaw. Oregon State and Washington State are now dropping hints. Rivalry game, Apple Cup, Civil War. We're not going to play Oregon and Washington. Oregon State and Washington State are talking about canceling the Civil War game and the Apple Cup game, which are the end of the season game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their rivalry game. Talking about, they did that to us. We're done with them. So, like I say, there is so much anger and there's so many things being discussed. Now you know why I have a headache. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you figure that it's like, your girlfriend breaks up with you and then goes for the new guy, and they're going for all the money. In some ways you can't blame them, but Washington State and Oregon State had such little leverage in the Pac-12, and they're the ones, that are left holding the bag. But there's got to be a way to merge these two conferences together, and hopefully they do it under the Pac-12 umbrella so you retain the Power Five. But I go back, for years, for decades, San Diego State's wanted to be in the Pac-12 forever, and they could never get in. And it was largely because of academics. And the University of California, Berkeley, kind of treating San Diego State and the whole state college system as sort of like a little brother. Well, now suddenly Cal and Stanford jumping into bed with San Jose State and Fresno State and San Diego State. The academic community is probably going to have their heads explode if they think that they're on the similar par. But I don't know if they have any other choices right now.
It's really hard because you're correct. If we drag everybody from the Mountain West in, now we're bringing in a lot of substandard academic institutions. But see, this whole problem was caused by your guys, your presidents in the Ivy Tower looking down at everybody.
Yeah.
It's a mess. My gut feel, if the Pac-4 has the resources to help the Aztecs in Boise and Fresno and I guess Colorado State, would be screwing Air Force.
Yeah.
But it had the resources to help them buy out a chunk of their exit fee, bring them. Because then if you got 4 Pac-4 schools, you're bringing 4 from the Mountain West, and you go get the 2 in Texas, which is probably more about TV sets than anything. Now you got a 10-team conference, and at least you're competitive. It's not as sexy as it was before. No Trojans, no Bruins, no Ducks, no Huskies. Maybe that's the way it's going to work, but it's going to take some time.
Well, a lot of these other conferences are not as sexy as they used to be. Like the, the ACC? In football, it's like, they have Florida State, right? But not a whole lot else.
Well, Clemson hasn't fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, but, and then, the Big East, blew up. So everything it's all SEC, Big 10, and then the Big 12 to a lesser degree.
And then the ACC and the remnants of whatever's left out there from Black Friday.
Yeah, and Conference USA, and it's all blowing up. So I think the idea of these presidents of these universities, these ADs, have just got to forget the past. This is a new world. There's more money. There's more NIL. There's more transfer portal going on. There's a lot bigger deals with TV, and all these old traditional, paradigms are breaking down.
I concur. You got a comment on Fans Forum? Is your invitation. Message us in the chat box. Let us know what you think about the things that are being discussed right now. From there,